Alright.
Oh, so heavy.
Yeah, it is recording. See top right?
Yeah. Let's start over. Yeah, shall we?
So you guys
Good
swap
eve-
sides today, yeah?
Yes, we swap sides like each round.
Okay.
Okay.
Sorry, is the recording started?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, okay.
Good evening, Mr. Arbitrator. My name is Samantha Chong, and with me is my co-counsel, Mr. Amiru Putra. Together, we speak for the appellant. This appeal regards the appellant's 4-year sanction for her misfortune of accidentally consuming a contaminated electrolyte powder. The appellant made a human error here. She trusted that certain substances, like electrolyte powders, are safe for her ingestion. We note that athletes do have a high standard of duty to ensure that no prohibited substance enters their body and their systems. However, they are not the superhumans we hold them to be. Therefore, for the appellant's small infraction and her light slip of care, she has already been sufficiently deterred by the provisional suspension that has been imposed upon her and by the fact that her record-winning performance has been disqualified. We
Do only
submit
superhumans are only superhumans able to check the internet for prohibited substances?
no, that is not a superhuman standard. However, what the appellant has done is she has done a safe spot check app, which is a functional equivalent of the internet search, as my co-counsel will expound on later. We ask the panel now remember that the World Anti-Doping Code is about embracing the human's body, spirit, and mind, not quashing it. By imposing too severe a sanction, in fact any sanction, it would quash her chances for a second chance, and therefore her career as an athlete. I will speak for 7 minutes on intent, and my co-counsel will speak for another 7 minutes on fault, proportionality, and costs, and we respectfully reserve 1 minute for rebuttal. Intent is established in 2 ways. First, direct intent, which refers to knowing that their conduct would constitute an anti-doping rule violation. Here, there was no direct intent because the appellant accidentally consumed Ostrin from the contaminated Sasquatch Power tub. The source of the Ostrin from her sample is undisputed to be from the contaminated Sasquatch Power tub. And the reason there's this contamination in the Sasquatch Power tub is due to manufacturer contamination. This is in line with Global Nutri-Core's track record of being sued for contaminating their past products, which reveals a systematic, flawed SOP. As a result, it is very likely that Global Nutri-Core has contaminated this particular batch of Sasquatch Power as well. Furthermore, there's no reason why any athlete who wants to intentionally dope would put in 0.025 micrograms of Ostrin that bears no performance-enhancing benefit at all into a tub to intentionally dope. As a result,
Counsel, when you say that there is no performance benefit, or may I know where you got this authority from? Is it from your own expert witness?
that is right. This is from Exhibit 4, Expert Witness Statement.
So how much weight should we place on this expert witness? Is there any more objective evidence on the effects of Osterin at this level?
Considering that Dr. Maynon Sean is a PhD in forensic toxicology and pharmacokinetics, we submit that sufficient weight should be placed on him, especially in light of the fact that there is no other opposing expert witness that was provided by, per se, the respondent. Therefore, and there is no reason for us to doubt his findings as well. And he states that typically, intentional doping usage of Ostrin would require 10 micrograms to 25 micrograms per day. As a result, the appellant did not have direct intent to consume the Ostrin that was found in her sample. The second way to establish intent is through indirect intent, which refers to whether or not the athlete knew there was a significant risk that their conduct might constitute an anti-doping rule violation. Here, the appellant did not know that there was a significant risk connected to Sasquatch Power, and she did not know this significant risk to be akin to running into a minefield, ignoring all stop signs along the way, which is a threshold set by past CAS jurisprudence, such as the ones in Dane Pereira and Erkan Karimach. There are two reasons why she did not know of this significant risk. First, she did not conceive it because electrolyte powders have a lower risk of supplement contamination. It is scientifically proven in the International Sports Journal that non-performance enhancing supplements have a lower risk of contamination. Secondly, the advertisement and disclaimers on Sasquatch Power do not serve as a clear red flag as to the possibility of contamination. The advertisement on the tub uses mythical figures like Sasquatches, and they use exaggeration that reasonable persons would not take into account literally. Additionally, the disclaimer on the tub saying very effective, use only under professional advice, is seen to convey the same message that the electrolyte powder is effective. Hence, when read by a reasonable athlete and by the appellant, both of these do not contribute to any increased risk of supplement contamination. As a result, she could not conceive of such a significant risk as to be akin to running into a minefield, ignoring all stop signs along the way. An indirect intent.
Do you have like another authority other than the ones that you cited for the minefield thing? Because it does sound like a very high threshold
It is
for the intent to be made out. Indirect intent, is it?
Yes. There is a reason why it's a very high threshold. If we were going by lower thresholds, it would fall within the category of no significant fault or negligence. The analysis there would be exactly the same. Whereas here, they are trying to prove that we have intent, which is of itself and in its nature requires a high threshold of proof. And that is why running into a minefield, ignoring all stop signs along the way, is appropriate for this particular circumstance. For completeness sake, my co-counsel will now bring you through the rest of our submissions, which is regarding fault, proportionality, and costs.
Mr. Arbitrator, good evening. As earlier introduced, my name is Amirul Putra, and I continue the case for the appellant. When assessing an athlete's degree of fault in an anti-doping rule violation, this panel must have regard to the objective fault of the appellant and then the subjective fault of the appellant. Now, the appellant submits that she bore a light degree of objective fault. Objective fault asks, what would a reasonable athlete have done if they were put in the appellant's situation? Now, to answer this question, we must first analyze the situation that the appellant found herself in. And this is a low-risk situation. Now, we say this because the product, Sasquatch Power, was an electrolyte powder, which does not promise any performance-enhancing effects and functions only to hydrate. And it stands to reason that electrolyte powders are seen with less suspicion by athletes as opposed to dietary supplements that promise a certain muscle building or fat loss effect. Further, the tub prominently displayed that Sasquatch Power was 100% pure and with clean ingredients. Now, when you take this in totality with the displayed ingredients list on Sasquatch Power, which reveals no prohibited substances, a reasonable athlete would likely see that and be assured that this statement is indeed true. In essence, the appellant is forwarding a submission that a reasonable athlete would not approach Sasquatch Power with suspicion to the same degree as a dietary supplement. Now, against this backdrop, the appellant actually acted with a sufficient degree of care, akin to a reasonable athlete. She read the label, she cross-checked the listed ingredients with the WADA prohibited list, and she used the SafeSpotCheck app to verify this manual check. Now here, the respondent will definitely invariably argue that the appellant has not done an internet search or has consulted a doctor in this regard. However, the appellant submits that she has done so by a functional equivalent. Safe Spot Check app serves as a functional equivalent to these steps because a doctor or nutritionist would similarly only read the displayed ingredients and provide a risk assessment. And to this regard, the Safe Spot Check app does the same thing and does the same function.
But see, Counsel, the nutritionists would probably have more, knowledge through their studies or whatnot as compared to Safe Spot Check. I mean, I'm not too sure, how tested Safe Spot Check really is, or like, how big their database is. So can we really say that it's equivalent to what a nutritionist would say?
Well, the relevant thing in this analysis is that a nutritionist can only see what is listed on the tub. And if they have knowledge about what is listed on the tub, then they can provide that same risk assessment. Now, they cannot go further to say that any other undeclared contaminants exist in Sasquatch Power. So we are submitting that Safe Spot Check app has this database to do that same function as a doctor or nutritionist would do in this situation.
But it's a standard practice for doctors or nutritionists to also check the internet, especially if they are aware that perhaps this person is an athlete. I think in the facts, it doesn't say that Anna told the doctor that, well, she was an athlete, but uh, but what if they could just key in her name or something, and the nutritionist would also be able to, find out that they're perhaps an athlete. So would that change your analysis?
Well, in this regard, it would not change our analysis because while a doctor can similarly search the internet for any displayed ingredients, it does not, in effect, lower or increase the objective fault of the appellant because the bottom line submission for the appellant in this regard is that a reasonable athlete would not have foreseen the risk of contamination of Sasquatch Power because of its low risk by nature. And this is why they took the Safe Spot Check app as a functional equivalent to consulting a doctor and searching the internet. For the foregoing reasons, the appellant submits that she bore a like degree of objective fault and did not commit any omission to this standard. Now, if Mr. Arbitrator, you are minded to find that there was an omission, the appellant can explain away these omissions as understandable and not as a result of careless conduct. Now, this is because we can rely on the analysis of subjective fault, which asks why did this omission occur, and were there any specific or relevant circumstances that explain the appellant's deviation from the reasonable athlete standard of care. And this is the rule found in Therese Johog at paragraph 178. Now, the circumstance that we are relying on in this regard is that the appellant has only received one round of anti-doping education 4 years ago. And this lack of education is further exacerbated as English is not the appellant's native tongue. These factors, taken in totality, contribute towards a less effective education and lack of general understanding of anti-doping risks. So we are raising this explanation for why the appellant did not remain suspicious of Sasquatch Power, especially after completing 2 layers of independent checks. So taken together, these circumstances actually explain the appellant's omission, and they do not aggravate those omissions to the level of carelessness.
Then again, I believe I've asked this question in the previous round, but if they are able to use the lack of education as an excuse, then what's the point of even having this education in the first place? We are penalizing people for being too knowledgeable.
Well, Mr. Arbitrator, we are not relying on this to say that, she's so sympathetic because she has a low level of education. But the fact of the matter is that she has a lowered level of education. And this just goes to explain why subjectively she could not have appreciated any residual risk of contamination or of an anti-doping rule violation. And also, it is pertinent to note that we must analyze the objective and subjective fault of the appellant at the time of consumption, and any analysis on hindsight would not be included in this analysis.
When you say subjective and objective analysis, are they treated with equal weight? So that means can one of them trump the other? Like for example, if the appellant really was subjectively unaware, can objective facts still pin her with um such a liability?
Mr. Arbitrator, if I could have 3 minutes to answer that question and wrap up my submissions.
Yes, you may.
Now, Mr. Arbitrator, CAS jurisprudence notes that in extreme circumstances or in extenuating circumstances, subjective fault can actually move an athlete down a category of fault, which means that objective fault sets the category within which the athlete falls, but in extenuating circumstances that can explain why the athlete acted below the standard of care, that can also reduce the the athlete sanction, and we submit that this case is one of that nature. Lastly, Mr. Arbitrator, we seek a sanction of not more than 3 months, and we are now submitting that proportionality should apply to further eliminate any sanction to be imposed on the appellant. This is because imposing any sanction on the appellant is simply disproportionate, because it is not necessary to sanction her to further the objectives of the WADA Code. Firstly, with regard to fair competition, it is stated that 0.05 nanograms per milliliter of Austrian renders no performance benefit. And so it stands to reason that her continued participation in further competitions would not create an unfair playing field. And now here, the respondent would definitely make most out of the principle of deterrence. They would argue that deterrence is needed here because they need to sanction the appellant to set an example to the other athletes. Now, the appellant submits that it is not warranted to treat the appellant as an example, because here the appellant simply accidentally consumed a contaminated substance. She did all the relevant checks and she acted with reasonable care. So the appellant submits that there is no deterrent value in sanctioning her in this regard. And for the foregoing reasons, the appellant submits that she should bear no period of ineligibility and a mere reprimand, and that the respondent bear the cost of these proceedings and contribute to the appellant's legal fees to the tune of 10,000 Swiss francs. And that concludes the appellant's submission.
Counsel, do you have authority on the fees? Why must the respondent bear your fees?
Code.
The authority in this regard is Article R64.5 of the Court of Arbitration for Sports Code. And that is the authority we derive to ask the panel, to respectfully request the panel for the respondent to bear our legal costs. Thank you. Eldridge.
It looks. Who's this kid?
Master code. I'll meet that.
No, no need the name.
We will meet at the actual round.
No. You zoom in next time.
Okay. Oh, it's not meant. Okay.
Yeah, whenever you are ready.
Mr. Arbitrator, good evening. My name is Darius Alexander,
and together with my colleague, Ms. Kiran Narayanan, we speak for the respondent, the World Tour Wrestling Federation. I'll be speaking for 6 minutes, and my colleague 8 minutes, and we respectfully reserve 1 minute for a rebuttal. Athletes train for years, decades even, and this is why doping is one of the cardinal sins of sport. It minimizes the efforts of clean athletes, which is why severe sanctions are imposed. Now, there is no dispute that there was Ostrin present in the appellant system, and so what this panel has to decide today is whether its presence, which was detected right off the back of a record-winning performance of hers, could truly be said to be unintentional or without fault. I'll be addressing this panel on the sanction to be imposed, which is a 4-year period of ineligibility, because the appellant cannot prove that there was no intent. For completeness, my colleague will address the alternative submission of 2 years period of ineligibility, because there was significant fault, and she will also address the issues of proportionality and costs. I'll first assist this panel on the issue of direct intent, and we respectfully adopt the definitions proffered by our learned friends. As a preliminary point, what this panel has to note is that the burden of proof is on the appellant. And so what this means functionally is that if Mr. Arbitrator, at the end of these submissions, is still uncertain as to whether there was no intent, then Mr. Arbitrator will necessarily have to find in the respondent's favor. And so with that, we come to the submissions proper. And so I'll begin with the first point, which is that the rule into inquiry into source is that there must be supporting evidence, and this is outlined at paragraph 56 of the 2014 award of WADA v. Loris Davis. My learned friends raised the point that there was manufacturer contamination, and they point to the evidence of litigation. The respondent disagrees for this very simple reason that the fact of litigation itself does not ipso facto mean that there was manufacturer contamination. As it stands, they are merely bare, unproven allegations before the courts, but they have not resulted in a conclusive finding. And so this panel cannot put weight on these allegations. As for the second point I'll raise, it relates to what Mr. Arbitrator had also queried Ms. Chong on the fact of the expert witness evidence. Now, Ms. Chong
Counselor,
relies...
sorry, before you continue with the next point, so are you saying that the appellant had intentionally, used Osterin, and that Scotch Power always had Osterin inside, and this was not like a isolated incident of contamination?
Mr. Arbitrator, the respondent's position is that we are not trying to prove that they did know of this. All we are saying is that the appellant cannot prove that she did not know of it. And it is for the very reason that it is her burden of proving that negative point. And so when we come to Dr. Manan Sean's expert report, which is outlined in Exhibit 4, there are 2 points I wish to make here. The first is that Ms. Chong says that we are entitled to rely on Dr. Manan Sean's report. But if I may raise, or rather, I'll raise to the panel the 2017 award of Aaron Sloan v. Australian Anti-Doping Agency at paragraph 100, where it stated that panels must discern the content of the expert report, even if there were no other opposing report, because they must be satisfied that the report, its contents, is actually rational and it's well-reasoned. And as for the second point, which also relates to this first point, is that Dr. Manan Sean's report, if we were to closely peruse it, is somewhat narrow. And so we see that on the first page, Dr. Manan Sean refers to the benefits of consuming Ostrin in relation to muscle growth. Now, Mr. Arbitrator, I'll refer you to paragraph 4, where it states that there are other benefits of Ostrin, which is to also enhance strength, support fat loss, and improve overall metabolic health. And this relates to the exact criteria of succeeding in toe wrestling. And this is seen at paragraph 1 of the agreed facts, where it states that athletes must have strong feet and toes, be physically fit and meet their weight category limits. There is a direct correlation here with the other purported benefits of Sasquatch power.
Okay, so how much Osterin is needed to achieve these other purported benefits?
Mr. Arbitrator, as it stands, we do not have expert evidence on this. But again, we stress that the burden of proving this absence of performance benefit, if the appellant were to rely on it, lies on them. Mr. Arbitrator, I also note that I do have about 20 seconds left. If I may have another 3 minutes to go through my second part, which is on the point on indirect intent.
Yes, you may.
Thank you. On the point of indirect intent, the rule is clear, outlined in Article 10.2.3 of the World Anti-Doping Code. It states that direct intent is found when the athletes are cognizant of a significant risk that they might result in an anti-doping rule violation, as well as the fact that they had manifestly regarded that risk. Now, on the point of significant risk, I will square with Ms. Chong's contention that the appellant did not know of the risk of consuming Sasquatch power. Now, Sasquatch power is clearly not something innocuous to Ms. Benitsky. We know that from paragraph 7 of the facts that she uses certified supplements in relation to hydration supplements. Now, the point of certification ensures that there is a lack of contamination risk or the presence of prohibited substances. In effect, it guards against contamination risk. And so once we know this particular fact, it becomes very evident that the appellant is somewhat careful of this, and she is aware of these risks. And so the problem that this panel will have to contend with is why exactly did Ms. Benitsky actually consume and bought the tub of Sasquatch power knowing these risks exist? Now, to top it all off, we also see that the tub of Sasquatch power, and this is seen in Exhibit 2, its labels carry clear warning sounds. Now, Ms. Chong had said that there were no red flags here. In fact, it all amounted to puffery. But if we were to clearly observe the tub or the label, we see that within the label itself, while there are clear exaggerations on the imagery of a Sasquatch, we see that above it, there is a warning to consult a physician. Now, this warning is very different from what is seen on the advertisement. The advertisement is in bright colors, there are many pictures, and there are clear exaggerations. Whereas the warning is conveyed in a more professional tone. It is written in professional English, there is a clean font, and it is in black and white. And not to mention, it is also repeated behind along with the other information relating to ingredients. And so we can clearly see that these are significant red flags to the appellant because it signals that whoever consumes Sasquatch power must note that there might be certain potential unknown effects. And it is for these reasons the respondent submits that there was indirect intent.
Counsel, but isn't this like a pretty typical electrolyte formula? I mean, okay, so what is the point of this warning actually, if you may? I mean, there can be assumptions, may I know, because you're after all not a manufacturer. But why do you think there's even this warning in the first place, other than perhaps there could be other unknown substances inside? Not too sure whether I'm too convinced by that. But yeah.
Mr. Arbitrator, if I may respond to your question just very briefly. So if we were to note that typically when warnings are given, they are given for a reason, and it is because there are certain effects that might not be potentially normal or typical of the type of supplement it is. And so hydration supplements wouldn't have carried these kinds of warnings unless they do have extra effects, which are not typical of perhaps 100 plus or Gatorade. And they might contain certain effects which might relate to sporting performance because this is a sporting related performance as well. Sasquatch power
Also,
is
but
marketed.
is all of these ingredients just typical of like a typical electrolyte formulation? I mean, while there may be unknown effects, but these ingredients and them combined, do you think this would actually lead to unknown effects?
Mr. Arbitrator, the point here is not the ingredients. The point here is the warning and what it indicates to the appellant. But even if Mr. Arbitrator is not with me on this, the respondent stresses that the appellant must prove the absence of direct and indirect intent. And so there is still the question of direct intent that Mr. Arbitrator will have to deal with. And unless I may be of further assistance to this panel, my colleague will continue the case for the respondent.
Good evening, Mr. Arbitrator. As earlier introduced, my name is Kiran Narayanan, and I will be continuing the case for the respondent. I will be speaking for 8 minutes and making submissions on 3 points. First, that the appellant had failed to prove that there was no significant fault or negligence. Second, that proportionality cannot apply to further reduce the appellant's sanctions, and consequently, the appellant's sanctions cannot be reduced below a period of 2 years, should this panel find that there was no intent. Lastly, this tribunal should award the respondent a contribution of 10,000 Swiss francs towards their costs. The appellant has failed to prove that there was no significant fault or negligence, and the respondent does not disagree. The respondent agrees with the tests that the appellants have submitted, that there is both the objective and subjective element. For the objective element, the respondent also agrees with the 5 factors submitted by the appellant. However, the respondent disagrees that these 5 factors have been fulfilled. The first 3 factors are not in dispute. The appellant did indeed check the list of the ingredients, cross-check that list with the prohibited list, and purchase from a health store. However, safe spot check cannot be taken as a substitute for the last 2 factors, which are consulting a doctor or nutritionist and conducting an internet search. Earlier on, Mr. Arbitrator had pointed out that a nutritionist would have more knowledge than the Safe Spot Check app, and it is also standard practice for a nutritionist or doctor to also check the internet. This is also supported by CAS jurisprudence, particularly in the 2008 case of Desprez and CCES, where in that instance, the athlete's failure to consult a doctor or trusted support personnel about the reliability of a supplement brand precluded a finding of NSF, no significant fault or negligence. And the court in that case emphasized that even a simple consultation would have allowed a doctor or nutritionist to evaluate the reliability of the brand. In this instance,
Counsel, but what was the supplement in that case? Is it similar to something like in the present instance?
apologies, Mr. Arbitrator, I'm unable to assist you on the exact supplement that was used in that case. However, the general principle in that decision was that consulting a doctor or nutritionist would allow a doctor or nutritionist to evaluate the reliability of the manufacturer of the brand. As seen in Exhibit 2, as seen in Exhibit 3, there is no indication of any reliability of the brand on the Safe Spot Check app, and Safe Spot Check app only returns a low-risk result. Furthermore, Safe Spot Check cannot compare to conducting an internet search, as it only compares the ingredients list to what is on the Safe Spot Check database, and it is not expensive as an internet search. Next, the respondent relies on the subjective fault to further lower the appellant's fault, and the respondent makes submissions on the education of the appellant. However, this education was indeed the gold standard of education, as seen from the clarificatory questions and answers. Furthermore, the appellant had over 8 years of experience in the sport, and most importantly, per the WADC Code 2.11, the athlete had the personal duty to ensure that no prohibited substances enter her body. She has the burden to educate herself, and any limited education that she received is due to her own lack of seeking out further education, and the blame cannot be placed on Turkmenistan for not educating her. Moreover, this is the first time she had used a Sasquatch power, And in the 2015 case of Marin Cilic, the court held that this is also a subjective factor to be considered. And since this is the first time she is using the Sasquatch power, the standard should have also been increased. Lastly, to conclude the respondent's submission that this tribunal should not make a finding of no significant fault or negligence, earlier on, the appellant had also raised the fact that the Sasquatch power was a hydration electrolyte and was non-performance enhancing, and thus there should be a lower risk. However, this risk does not pertain, the risk that was present here in the Sasquatch power does not pertain to the risk of the manufacturer themselves spiking the product which will lead to more consumption of the product. The risk here pertained to the specific manufacturer of the product. And in this instance, there was clearly a risk since the manufacturer of the Global NutriCorp did indeed have other litigation cases against it. Thirdly, proportionality also cannot apply independently to lower the appellant's sanctions further, because it is already embedded within the sanctioning framework of the WADC code. And to apply it as a freestanding doctrine would be destructive to the WADC, and as held in the case of Guerrero, would erode the legal principle of certainty. Nevertheless, even if the appellant's submissions are accepted, the present circumstances do not merit the application of proportionality. The appellant cites reasons such as fair competition and argues that since Ostarine renders no performance benefit, the principle of fair competition should apply to lower the appellant's sanctions. However, fair competition does not concern itself with the effect of the supplement on future competition, but also concerns itself with respect for rules, and to allow proportionality to apply in the name of fair competition would not be fair to other athletes who have made efforts to stay clean and not dope.
Counsel, but don't the rules do provide for this kind of instances? So aren't they also just complying with the rules? We cannot say that they're not complying with the rules simply because simply because they're trying to just rely on fair competition itself, because there are such allowances within the rules themselves.
Mr. Arbitrator, your concern is valid. However, there are still other principles that would prevent the level, that would not necessitate proportionality applying, such as the value of clean sport to the world. Lastly, if this panel rejects the appellant's appeal, it is submitted that the appellant should grant the respondent a contribution of 10,000 Swiss francs pursuant to R64.5 of the WADA code. As there is nothing to suggest that the conduct observed and the financial resources of the parties are anything but routine in the present proceedings. If I may be of no further assistance, this concludes the respondent's submissions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Guys, maybe we shouldn't move because they started PR already outside.
Oh,
Yeah,
Okay,
they kicked
good.
us out to Strat 1.
Yeah.
oh,
so
that's
we-
why I got like
Oh no.
Okay lah,
confused when they were.
Okay,
Yeah.
then you
Yeah.
guys just whack your.
Oh, what is?
Okay.
Yeah, we just wait the rebuttal now.
Yeah.
Mr. Arbitrator, the respondent submitted that the burden of proof is on the appellant, and that we agree. But they also submitted that so long as Mr. Arbitrator, sir, is uncertain about whether or not she intentionally ingested Ostrin, then so long as there was uncertainty, then you should rule against us. This is not true. The appellant's burden of proof is one of balance of probabilities, which in past CS jurisprudence is of a standard slightly more than 50%. There will certainly be some uncertainty regarding this balance of probabilities. However, so long as the appellant's case is more likely than not true, then this panel should hold it in our favor. And that concludes our rebuttal. unless we may be of any further assistance.
Sorry, Consul, I'm wondering what the significance of your rebuttal is because is this really disputed? I think what they're trying to say is that, when you have this set of facts, it is still incumbent on the appellant to prove it. Yeah, so how would this address the respondent's case?
We are simply stating that the balance of probabilities here, 51%, that is the standard that the appellant has to hit. And considering that past case jurisprudence like Jerry and Lawson, where there was no objective direct evidence provided, and yet they held in the athlete's favor, it suggests that the evidence we have provided the panel with is more than sufficient to hit this threshold of 50% and above. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Arbitrator, I think that all parties here and Mr. Arbitrator yourself are in agreement that the law is clear. The burden of proof is on them, and it is on a balance of probabilities. Whether or not Mr. Arbitrator is satisfied on a balance of probabilities, the appellants have not assisted you in this regard. But the respondent can address at least that there are certain concerns which panels in the past have been live to. And I point, Mr. Arbitrator, to paragraph 138 of the 2020 award of WADA v. Shania Jack, as well as the 2010 award of International Wheelchair Basketball Federation v. Simon Gibbs, where both panels recognize that athletes, to evade consequences for doping violations, could easily spike and put in prohibited substances into the alleged contaminant source, and by that token, state that they did not intend to commit any anti-doping rule violation. But these are easy things for athletes to do. And so this panel must guard against such possibilities, which is why the burden of proof, Mr. Arbitrator, is not met in this case, no matter what the appellants have stated is the thing to note of. Unless I may be of further assistance, this concludes the respondent's rebuttal. Thank you.
Thank you. Right.
By the way, Alex, later when you come out of the room, can you take my water bottle which is under the table? Sorry.
Okay, got it. No worries.
Sorry, guys.
Who's
We
using the
didn't-
room right now?
Wait,
I,
what? I thought we're gonna start
we-
at 7:30.
Exactly.
Yeah, then they told us that
Exactly.
they booked the room at 7 p.m. So they're gonna
They
start at
didn't even
7
fix the chat.
Okay, let's
See what the-
let's
okay.
whack the
Never mind.
let's do the comments first.
we didn't even hear the last like 4 minutes of Kieran's submission
Oh.
because we were walking out.
Dude,
Yeah.
she just
Oh,
opened
I
it.
see.
Okay lah.
Hmm.
But okay lah, it's fine.
Yeah.
Look,
Yeah, thanks so
I,
much, Yejun.
Yeah, thanks,
Regine.
Regine.
Oh, yeah,
I will
welcome.
get Luckin for you before Coco.
Wait, when's your Coco?
We are in the same class.
Oh, you call it Coco. Oh, it's a nickname. Shit. Yeah, because it's like banking and finance. That was like Coco.
We are also
Okay.
in the same class for that.
Yeah. Okay. So do I have to like speed run this? Like, do you guys have to
Nah,
like
it's
leave
okay, we
immediately or
are-
something?
It's up to
Yeah.
you.
It's up to you. We're stuck in here anyways.
I see. Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so okay, let's start with Samantha first. Yeah, so I think the spiel might be a bit too flashy, like the superhuman thing. That's why I caught onto it. I was like, yeah, do athletes really have to be superhuman to check the internet? Because I think when you were elaborating on that, it kind of seemed like that's what you were getting at, lah.
Mm.
Yeah. So actually, could you read me the spiel again? Like, I think there was another point that I thought was a bit dubious also, but I didn't quite catch.
I think it was okay. So there's a superhuman part. Then there's a part about how she's been sufficiently deterred because her career has come to like a grinding halt because of the provisional suspension and the disqualification of her results. Then I said that the World Anti-Doping Code is also about embracing the human spirit, body, and mind, and not about quashing it.
Okay, I mean, I'm not too sure how like the judges like the style, but I mean, okay, at least for Price, it feels a bit more reserved. But for
Mm.
Slam, I guess maybe you can be a bit more like dramatic. I mean, that could be fine, right? Yeah, not too sure about what the differences in judging styles are, but yeah, sure. Then I think it's okay.
Okay.
Oh yeah, actually, let me just start with general comments first before going in. Okay, I mean, I think the eye contact was all right. I mean, you guys I can still see that you guys rely on the script, but definitely much less than the previous round. Lah. So that's really good. Also, do you guys usually do like round robins? Like it's just 50% Alex and Kieran do appellant, then they do respondent the next side. Or
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
50-50.
Yeah.
Until
Okay, I
we get
see.
our allocated sites, then I guess we'll
Yeah.
practice on that.
Okay, can. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure you guys will be like even more familiar by then, lah. So I think that's good. Uh, as for eye contact was okay lah. I mean, I didn't really notice you guys like darting your eyes off to the side. I mean, sometimes it happens, but I think generally, because the screen is quite small, any minute changes in your
We have a
eye
massive
movement, I
screen.
think it's fine. Yeah, I
It's
think it's
actually
fine. It's not very obvious.
massive screen.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Isn't it like two screens or something? Or is it just
No, it's
one?
a giant TV in the small room. Like it's really big.
Oh.
Actually, it's a bit.
It's
It's more than 1 meter lah in length.
It's
Hmm.
1.5.
That's why if you
Yeah.
don't look properly, you're gonna.
Because sometimes I see look at you, but you're not where the camera is, like, because it changes. But yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's a bit trippy lah sometimes. But yeah, I
Well,
mean,
I know how to fix it lah. We just
Fix the
minimize
screen. Oh.
minimize the screen. We put it in the middle. That's it.
Yeah.
hmm. As for the mic, I think it's okay. Sometimes Alex sounds a bit more like breathy. I don't know whether that makes sense. I can hear you like breathing into the microphone.
Okay. So I
Yeah,
should be further away lah.
yeah, I think it can be further away. Okay, I mean that's all the technical points. Yeah, okay, so back to Samantha. Yeah, so I think you tripped up a little at the SOP thing because
Yeah.
were you like figuring out what SOP stood for?
I all of a sudden forgot it. I now know it's standard operating procedure.
Yeah.
Oops.
But yeah, I mean, okay lah, this one can be improved in practice lah, definitely. Yeah. Okay, so there was also the expert evidence thing, Ostarine. Oh yeah, so Ostarine is a real substance, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
And yeah, I think it might be good to find research papers about Ostarine itself. I mean, simply because it's like the crux of this issue, and there's also concerns about its volume, its dosage, and like what its effects are. And I think this also relates to Alex's point, where there's like other, there's like other effects of Ostarine other than just building muscle mass. And sometimes, even a lower dosage would be sufficient to contribute to this ancillary kind of effects lah. Yeah, and I think it'd be good for the respondent to have that, but at the same time, the appellant would also be able to counter it, using this kind of research.
Yeah.
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 Okay.
Yeah, and also because I think it's a bit iffy to just rely on expert evidence, like because you only have one here, right? And
Yeah.
I think that might be a big concern. So, if you're able to furnish this kind of other research, would be good to top up the expert evidence point. Yeah. Okay. Okay, there's this one phrase, scientifically proven that non-performing enhancing substances have a lower contamination. I mean, I didn't press you on that point. I think it's because I didn't want to keep asking questions, like because of your time limit also. But I'm not too sure whether you might want to further substantiate that point. Because okay, I mean intuitively, I would think that both non-performance and performance enhancing substances, if they are in the same factory, there's an equal chance that they might get contaminated with other substances. Like it's more of a matter of how the manufacturing process is like rather than the very nature of
So I should explain.
the supplement.
I should
Yeah.
explain that for like performance enhancing supplements, manufacturers have a higher temptation to spike the products with prohibited substances, and therefore resulting in a higher risk of contamination.
Oh, it's about the temptation thing.
Yeah, that's like one of
Interesting.
the big reasons for supplement contamination. I think.
Yeah, that's what the
Oh,
appellant wants to frame it as, because there's always innocent like manufacturer contamination. Then there's the like, you're like a muscle builder guy. You're what's it called?
Bodybuilder.
A protein powder, right? You're gonna want to put that. That's why we have to frame it as lah. And we do have the source for it lah, which is the US ADA. Then
Mm.
then the scientific thing is a scientific paper lah.
Yeah.
I see. Okay. So like they use like stats and whatnot lah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think definitely that point can come out first, actually.
Okay.
Yeah. It's pretty important. I think it really helps the appellant. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, stylistically, I think Samantha, you sped up towards the end, but
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's just because of time limit, but I think it would still be good to, maintain the same pace. Yeah. Actually, this applies for everybody. Yeah. And yeah, I noted here a good answer on the high threshold for indirect intent versus the negligent one. Yeah, okay, you're prepared for that lah. Okay. Yeah, okay, so I'll just move on to Amiru. Yeah, I think this time, actually all of your structures so much better this time. I'm not too sure whether it's because I'm more familiar with the case, or is it because like you guys tweak the structure?
Could be both lah,
Yeah.
honestly.
Probably both.
Yeah.
Over.
But we
Like
cut
you.
away all the nonsense lah also. We try.
Mm. Sorry, when you mean like nonsense, it's like
Like last time we were just basically doing a memo lah, but now
we
we're trying
submitted our
to
memo already, by the way. Like,
Yeah.
we're bound already.
now we are trying to
Mm.
emphasize the best points lah. And some points are not worth talking about.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah.
Too hard to talk about also.
Yeah, it's definitely clearer now lah. Yeah. Yeah, and then you said that the appellant would invariably argue. Okay, I mean, now that I know that you guys are bound by the memos, I guess that's why you can say invariably argue. But at the same time, I don't know whether it's a bit of a awkward phrase to use. It's like, what if they don't argue? Then
Maybe
Okay.
the
it kind
subs
it kind of looks,
if
yeah,
you refer to the
kind-
subs,
mhm.
it's more fair, right?
Yeah.
Because you're
Yeah.
not misrepresenting anything.
Yeah. Okay, so I think you got a bit caught up on like the safe spot check thing versus a nutritionist and doctor. Yeah, I mean, I'm not too sure how the appellant can really resolve this problem because I mean, after all, you're trying to rely on the safe spot check as like a be all end all, right?
What do
For
you
the checks.
What do you think about this argument where, like, in a lot of cases, the athlete did ask the doctor, but the doctor misrepresented information and told them stuff. Whereas in this case, say spot check, relying on a database is at times even more reliable than a doctor.
But actually, even if the doctor like tells them the wrong thing, right? It's still fulfilled that they asked the doctor because the important thing here is that they did the steps, not the outcome
thing
of
is,
the steps.
In those cases where they ask the doctor and then they rely on the doctor's advice, then after that, the panel basically said that the doctor's advice and actions are theirs actually, are attributed to them. So I would think that as an athlete who knew that sometimes doctors don't have the best information, and having say spot check at hand, which has its own database, it would search say spot check as a more reliable source, even.
Because of the human error thing for doctors, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
that
I
is
guess it can be a point, but
that's a bit risky,
I mean,
right?
that-
Because
I would
what
only
you're
think
saying
that-
is every panel will accept there's 5 factors. Then you're
Mm.
saying this one factor, right? Actually, Your Honor, it's a bit whack lah. I think we can dispense with it. That's what it is. Of course, then I suppose you must contrast it with the safe spot check application lah, which is why here is justified.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I mean, this is just an answer that I thought of if you are queried on it.
But do you have you have the case lah, which is all the cases where they attribute the doctor's actions to the athlete.
Yeah.
Because they must select the correct.
Yeah.
Sense.
when they attributed a doctor's actions to the athlete, as in like they give the athlete a pass because the doctor screwed up.
As in, if the doctor screw up, it's your screw up. Because
Yeah.
it's on you to choose your doctor.
Attribution.
Yeah.
Wow,
a
that's
Mhm.
rough.
Tough, right?
vicarious liability lah. No, it's not even
Yeah,
vicarious liability. It's treated as your
just
Your own.
like
liability.
Yeah.
agent,
Is that what
agent
vicarious
principal
liability?
thing.
Yeah,
It is
agency
like
lah.
that.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I see.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's not
Wow.
standard that happens, but
I think that's why we
Kind
even
of
talk
like
about the
obviously
superhuman
human.
standards. Because the standard on them really is very sometimes inhumane.
No, but generally, right, the standard is
True.
not the same anywhere. That's why this whole thing is just the 5 factors that they use, and then different cases say different things. Because it's really vibes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Mm.
always just vibes.
Yeah. That fits the mood because the mood is all
It's
vibes, right?
It's
If
all
you
vibes.
come up with a fairly defendable argument, then defensible
Actually,
argument is the word, is it?
So Dia
yeah,
texted me, he's like,
defensible.
please leave we are beginning our PR. So once you're done, please leave quietly. Dia
Bro, that
texted me,
was
didn't we book
Bro.
the
Never mind.
room?
Let's let Yuqin finish his
Yeah.
comments
Oh,
first.
sorry.
Oh, I mean, it's okay. I'm all here for the tea, man. But anyway, yeah. That's rough. Okay. So
Oh,
at least the
sorry.
5 factors is still quite contentious, Then I
Like
think it's
when
possible.
I'm A, I try to argue that you don't even need to follow. Like it's not a checklist. It's just like
Yeah.
No, the
Which is-
5 factors aren't
yeah.
contentious.
Yeah.
As in, everyone accepts there are 5 factors. It's just when do you apply that? That's the contention lah. That's what
Which is
you have to fight on.
Which is why I painted the situation first. I say it's low risk, so like
yeah.
that not all 5 steps have to be met at all times lah.
Mm.
Which is the
Mm.
point. Yeah, has to be calibrated to the risk.
Mm.
Yeah. I mean, I can see what you're getting at, Yeah. Hmm. So there's actually no clear answer to this, right? Because I just trying
Like
to rely on
Liliu
safe
said, when there's no
spot check.
clear standard, just make a standard.
Yeah,
that
just
fits yours.
just try to
So
defend your own shit lah.
I think the way to
Yeah,
do it is just
true.
like
I suspect it's not more of a not clear standard, but it's like, when your court of appeal says there's A, B, C, D, E, F, G, right? And then council can just pick and choose A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and why it wouldn't really matter. It's just that ideally you have all of it. I think it's more akin to that. And so you just explain away the deficiencies. Because no one
Yeah,
is
I
going to
just-
accept a checklist categorical approach.
Alright.
Like any
Yeah.
there's a cases where they say that also. But I mean, as R, you want to say that you have to do all.
Oh.
As A, you just say that doesn't really matter.
Yeah,
Just
this
vibes.
is A's power here. A can fight. A can win this. R is
But at A, you also don't have enough time to both say you don't need to do everything and also assess safe spot check fulfills the last 2 lah. So whenever I go with the you don't need to fulfill everything, I think it's weaker than saying that SSC doesn't fulfill everything. Yeah. But it's just like vibes. See whatever the respondent submits lah. Then decide. Since we'll see that. No, sorry. When you're A,
Yeah.
you see what the R says. If the R doesn't catch the SSC thing, you go on that lah. Safe spot check.
So would it be good for the appellant to highlight like the factors? Like, I mean, not all of them, the ones that benefit you guys the most, as like the rule. And after that, you use your application, you use the facts as your application. Because currently it seems like, just going off by vibes, rather than it being grounded in a specific framework.
Yeah, the best way to do it, right, is like there's case law lah for this because it's in our memos. So like doctors, right? Case law says they can only check synonyms. And this is seen in this case, blah 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 blah, blah. And here's this for check does check for this shit because they check the list. Or reliable source is like, well, reliable source, not a big deal lah, because it's not a mixed kind of thing. But what's it called? What's the last one?
Reliable source, checklist, cross-check, doctor, nutritionist. Checklist,
Internet
cross-check,
search.
Internet search.
The internet search is a factual basis lah for us. It says they check against undeclared. They don't guarantee against undeclared. So by implication, they do guarantee against declared.
Yeah.
And what is declared? It's whatever you find on the internet anyways. So it is matters. Because that is the hardest thing to fight lah. Really. So that one is less vibey and more you try to address the concern. Because the concern is why are we not taking all 5? That's the starting point. At least that's my guess lah.
Yeah. I mean, that's a huge concern.
Actually, the biggest concern here is why she never do internet search.
Exactly.
It's just
Yeah.
but honestly, during our AR, right,
Safe spot
seemed-
check.
it seemed like Michael actually believed that.
Oh yeah,
It's
but
very, very subjective
Michael
lah.
Hong is
It's
not
like
he's an old man.
he's
So
like an old man, like I don't know what
internet
internet
search is internet.
my dinosaur. I have to use my safe spot check.
But actually, safe spot check, can it classify as an internet search?
No, I don't think so,
Of course,
honestly.
You
No,
know,
it's just an
I
app, but
don't,
it's via online also. I also use Wi-Fi or data for that. I don't know, bro.
but it doesn't reveal that she had
no,
that
it,
she
it
doesn't even show the cases against them for
no,
her.
it says it checks against databases, right, and declared stuff. So they must check against a database. So the best way you can do it is this is the internet. You search something, it checks against lots of databases. Here, it's more specific. It checks against the prohibited list. It checks against contamination risk. And this is all you need to know as an athlete.
Yeah.
Something like that. I don't know. I
Hmm.
haven't thought of a better idea. Because when you look at
Valid,
the
right?
app, right, there's actually no Wi-Fi bar and no 4G bar. So you can't even say.
I mean, your phone, that's from your phone, not from the app. What? Even on your phone, if you open an app with no internet, it's not going to show, it's still going to show you the 4G bar.
That's true.
So I don't think you can say that.
True.
Can screenshot the app, but they show the outline of the phone also.
Thanks for helping us again.
Thanks, boss.
Oh,
Maybe you're
yeah,
busy.
welcome. This is a very fun topic, lah. I have
Really?
to say. Yeah.
It is
Joking.
less
Compared to
dry.
like Sam, right? Sam is mathematical stuff.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like why
That's
this
tough.
goalie never catch the ball?
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah.
What?
Why did you never catch the ball?
Catch the ball.
Yeah.
And they said
Yeah.
Are you guys having a third AR?
bad, just bad.
Us, Price?
Yeah, I heard you guys having a third AR.
Oh yeah. It's possible that we're having a third AR.
Oh.
But AR without attendance requirements, or rather without it contributing to the attendance requirements, unfortunately.
Oh.
But okay,
Yeah.
no way. Sorry.
No, we haven't. Tell us when
Oh, okay.
we will attend.
Can we do that?
It's if Indrani Raja,
She's coming back.
yeah, she's coming back to
Oh.
judge. I mean, she hasn't judged Price in quite a while, a few years. But yeah.
Oh, no, I thought like, she was gonna judge. She just won your one already.
Oh no, she
No, that's
hasn't.
my
She
tax
hasn't.
dollars going to Indrani Raja judging Price AR.
We
Yeah.
don't want to hold you back. So
yeah,
I can just
sorry,
be short
sorry.
quickly.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay. I mean, yeah, it's okay. Okay. All right. Yeah. So standard practice for nutritionists and doctors. I think that one can highlight. Yeah, because I think it sets a benchmark.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I like the answer on the subjective fault can move the athlete down a level of the penalties. Yeah, because I think it's not very clear at first glance how the objective and subjective analysis play a part into establishing liability. Because okay, I mean at least for like other kinds of law, like oh you have to look at the objective and subjective intent. But then it's kind of like vibes based. But then here it's like quite clear. I can actually move it down a level. I think you can highlight that first. Um, after you establish that you use this subjective and objective test. Yeah.
Okay.
Um, the 3 months thing. Okay, I was actually a bit confused at the penalties. Like, so you said there's 3 months, and then after that you said like you can just reprimand her or something.
Yeah. So the way it works is that if you prove no intent, then it goes from the mandatory 4 to 2.
Oh
Then
yeah.
the fault is like a range, and then we're submitting that it should be on the lower end 3. And then proportionality should apply to eradicate the whole thing. Yeah.
Okay. I
Like
mean,
a
maybe to
sequential
more
thing.
experienced judges, I think it'd be a bit clearer.
Yeah.
But for me, it was a little confusing at the beginning. Yeah.
Of
I
the
don't think.
anti-doping code.
Yes.
But proportionality is a concept familiar to civil law judges lah, and common law not very familiar lah. The only time you come across proportionality is one of those tort cases, right? They bring in proportionality for what?
Yeah.
Can't remember lah, but yeah, proportionality you have to tailor to your audience lah, I think.
Yeah. Because like it seems, I mean, to me, it seems like proportionality is more like you really calibrate the 3 months without like totally eradicating it. It's like there's still some months. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, okay. For the last part, yeah, I think you guys were prepared for the fees question at the end. Like it was meant to be a curveball question, but I mean, you guys had all the information there, so that was good. And yeah, I think it's okay to take some time to like flip through your notes as long as it's and as long as you are trying to make sure that's accurate lah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Now move on to Alex. Yeah. Actually, oh yeah. Actually, for everybody, right? By speaking to the mic, it was pretty loud and clear. But I mean, during the AI itself, I mean, I know there were some concerns that like the judges couldn't hear you guys, but I don't think it'd be an issue if it's via Zoom, lah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was really quite clear for me. It was loud and clear. Yeah. Okay. Um, yeah, it was good to clarify the burden of proof to the appellant to defend themselves. Oh yeah, on this point, okay, maybe I should move to the rebuttal and rebuttal. Yeah, I mean, I understand that. I think Amirul and Samantha, you guys had to move. That's why perhaps you didn't fully catch what the arguments were. But yeah, I have to say
But
that the rebuttal, um, when you're establishing the standard of proof, I don't think it helps your case a lot because it just talks about the legal standard rather than the application of the facts of the case.
I think actually because I caught Alex saying one line, which was like, so long as Mr. Arbitrator is uncertain about the case, then the appellant has failed in her burden. And I thought that that was not a like accurate statement of the law. Yeah, because you don't have to be 100% certain. You just have to be more certain than 50%.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay, so actually, if that were the case, okay, I mean, I do remember hearing it. But if
Yeah.
that were the case, maybe in your rebuttal you can like more explicitly point out that the respondent had made an error in law or something.
Okay.
Yeah, this is like what casting a reasonable doubt or something. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah, not too sure that there were other like more like other better points to pick on. Like maybe the I'm not too sure yet. Yeah, I'll go through the respondents' points.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, the litigation thing, okay, I understand that it was raised by the appellant, that's how the respondent responded to it. Um, yeah, I'm still not too sure why you guys raised that point. So it was probably to do with the spiking thing rather than just manufacturer contamination.
Yeah. For us, it's a burden of proof thing. Because the appellant will flash out, at least if they raise it up, they'll flash it out as not direct intent means knowledge. So if it's manufacturer means no knowledge. But then if you cannot prove it was manufacturer, then the whole no knowledge thing becomes a bit more difficult to be satisfied of. I think we
Yeah.
should flesh it out. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you can guide the judges through this point
Yeah,
because
because it was a
yeah,
sudden
yeah.
jump to source, right? Yeah, I realized halfway through because I forgot to bring my script. So I've got a piece of paper and that's it.
Oh, so you're just winging it.
Yeah, I'm just winging it. But responding is a winger. Winger.
Yeah,
Just
true,
write
true.
down and respond.
I honestly couldn't tell that you're winging it.
It's
Good
been
job.
it's been like one
I think
month.
what?
It's been
Yeah.
1 month.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need to
Yeah,
flesh out.
yes.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, then I also have here good use of JQ and expert evidence. Yeah, I think you are casting a doubt on the expert witness evidence. Um, yeah, for certification point, I think it was also a bit unclear.
Yeah.
Like, okay, just because she's certified means that she's aware of the risk. Okay, maybe generally that might be the case, but in this particular instance, if it's about, non-performance enhancing substance, I'm not too sure how much
Yeah.
impact the certification has
Yeah.
on her knowledge. Yeah.
Yeah. Got it.
Mm. Yeah, then okay, I think this was the bigger point. Basically, at the end, Yeah, I was trying to get at one of the questions regarding the ingredients, and then you said there's unknown effects, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, just wondering whether the standard is that,
Okay.
all athletes must assume that there are unknown effects once the label says please consult a physician.
Yeah,
Because, yeah,
there is a case. Just I forgot about it.
so that is the case. Like, yeah, I think we
There
better to
should
just
be
raise the
there's a
case.
general idea. Yeah.
Really,
Think
like
down
that
is fine.
consult a doctor before use is followed by like, especially for like pregnant women or lactating mothers or something
Yeah,
like
yeah,
yeah. So it's
yeah.
like it's
Must combine
kind
it
of like
with the lodging in case law lah.
health wise kind of thing.
Yeah.
Mm. But actually, for the pregnant woman thing, right, I thought it was more of a concern, like, of the listed ingredients, because the doctors would know that the listed ingredients would harm, like, the unborn baby or the mother.
So possibly that disclaimer may not be against the fact that there was supplement contamination, but more towards the sense that there may be like allergens involved or something. Excuse me.
This is
Mm. Yeah, so not too sure whether the respondent can actually use that case though. Because well, other than searching the internet, I'm not too sure what else a doctor can do, and just from like this label alone.
the respondent will raise that doctors know of brand contamination risk.
I see.
Brain contamination risk, or like if they have like prior
Yeah.
experience.
But of course, the sensible answer to that is that you just go to this case and then you say this is a sports doctor. So, but if you can slip it past the balance, then great lah.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not too sure how much you can smoke with that case lah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not too sure that's very strong for the respondent. Or I mean, you guys can try. Yeah.
We've been trying.
Oh, you guys can try. But how often has it worked?
I think the difficulty is that on the facts you're sympathetic to the appellant, so it's a
Mm.
bit harder to pull that. But legally speaking, the
Mm.
doctor is like part of your precautions. I mean,
Yeah.
people think doctors do different things lah, but
But it doesn't matter what the
as-
doctor does.
yeah,
Honestly, like,
but
you
it's
just need to ask
what's the
doctor.
point of the doctor?
Like,
lah?
the point is to show enough effort that you care enough to have
No, no,
that.
but it
like, you
matters.
know what I mean?
It matters what avenue you go through. Because I can just say that, I call the manufacturer, that's super good. But why? I take precautions, right? But it's the best. Why is it the
Me,
best? Because
more
it's
of like
you go to the nub of the issue, which is you go to the manufacturer, and then the
effort
manufacturer will do things.
trying to make sure ultimately just that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it cannot be senseless, lah.
Yeah, it cannot be
And
senseless also.
so the appellant will say it is senseless in this case, and then the respondent will say no, it's not senseless.
senseless anymore because you don't have time to go both. It's senseless and impractical, and safe spot check is both. Like, you don't have time to hit both, so you only can pick one. But
Yeah.
it's stronger to pick that safe spot check is the internet. That's what I think. That's what we agreed.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why it's senseless to go to all these other ways because safe spot check already targets the rationale. of
So
this,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Whereas the respondent will say they haven't targeted the rationale of doing all this because,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so for safe spot check versus the internet, it's actually entirely possible that safe spot check could have a private database, which may be even more extensive than what's on Google, right? I don't know whether that's something can build on, but who knows? Maybe
Yeah.
it's too much speculation, honestly, for safe
Yeah,
spot check.
the clarifications were quite clear that you just take the facts as they are. We are not going to tell you anything about safe spot check application, so it might be a risk. But
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll just move on to Kieran's comments. Yeah, so I noted here good use of JQ, that nutritionists have more information. And yeah, so I asked you about the case, right?
Oh yeah.
That you
I don't think
couldn't
we have it.
proper.
I don't think it was a hydration supplement, but I don't want to. Yeah.
It was a
What's it-
nutritional
It's in the thing, the case plan, right?
It's not.
Oh, it's not. Okay, I will add
This
it.
is
Oh, it is.
uh,
But it
not
doesn't say
not
what
a
it
big-
is.
It doesn't say what
it's an
the
authority bank, right?
yeah,
Yeah, it is.
it's
It's
called
a-
Kaizen HMB. It's a nutritional
first-
supplement.
Oh, it is. Oh, sorry.
Oh shit. Oh,
It's
that's
a nutritional supplement, so it's not performance
Is it not
enhancing.
Despress? It's just
It-
Despress.
It's a bit
Yeah.
more suspicious than a hydration supplement, for sure.
Oh, okay.
Is it Despresso?
Yeah.
It's Despress and CCS.
I don't see it.
Actually, if it's more suspicious
The
than a
VCR.
hydration supplement, then the appellant can capitalize on that lah.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I
And
think
the respondent
yeah.
would try to smoke through. Sorry?
Oh no. Like the
Oh, found it. Never mind.
no. I was just gonna say it doesn't matter. The whole like hydration supplement thing is less suspicious. It's like it's not the type of supplement, it's where it's manufactured. No, but I can't say that as a appellant, so never mind. Just ignore it. As a appellant, you have to say it's less suspicious. So
Yeah.
check. Oh, Kaizen HMB.
It's a
Nutritional.
nutritional supplement, which is
More suspicious than hydration. Less.
you want as a parent, you want to say it's two different things,
Mm.
performance and non-performance. Then as a respondent, you say, I don't know how you're gonna spin nutritional as suspicious. More ingredients, but more ingredients is kind of weird.
As A, I just avoid it lah. I feel like.
Hmm?
I don't know. How is it? Everything is equally as suspicious.
No, as A, I'm really talking about it.
Oh,
So
you are talking about
there's
it.
no way you can avoid it.
I'm talking about the low risk part. Like I don't go into this. Okay, never mind. It's okay.
I mean, yeah, you can just focus on like the manufacturing process is the crux lah, rather than what substance it really is.
Yeah.
Right, for
Yeah.
contamination risk, yeah.
For hard.
Okay. Okay, for Kieran, stylistically, when Alex showed you something, then after that you pause.
Oh,
Yeah, I was
sorry.
wondering what
Yeah,
that
I
was
got.
about.
Oh no, it said eye discipline. Then I realized I messed up. Sorry.
Like the eye contact, right?
Yeah, I just get
I
thrown off
noticed
the
you did
photo.
that.
Like, I keep looking at myself, but the camera is actually there. But it's okay. I'll work on it. Look at the camera.
Yeah, tell you
Then I got
guys.
kind of thrown off when they started moving because the camera is next to them, right? Yeah. Are you trying to make it smaller? It is better with smaller.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's much better.
Hmm.
No, sorry, just made it smaller. Yeah, but I'll
Okay.
work on that. Just look at the camera.
Okay. So there is the. Oh yeah, okay. So I think there was this last question on like the value of clean sport to the world is important. I mean that's what you mentioned.
Yeah.
Yeah, ask about this.
I think that's the last question.
I didn't know. So.
What was the last question about?
No, you ask about where is on.
Wait, let me try to recall.
Where
Oh yeah, because I think
Look into the
Kieran said that the appellants cannot just rely on fair competition as an excuse.
Yeah, no, the parents cannot say
Yeah.
that just because that her performance also is not going to affect her future performance. There is fair competition because fair competition also means being fair to our parents who have respected the rules and stayed clean. Yeah, then you actually ask like, isn't it an expectation to just respect the rules? Something like that, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think my concern was more like, I thought fair competition is really just part of the rules. Like the rules will
Yeah.
probably just account for that already. So I'm not too sure whether you can totally discount, this factor when you're determining the appropriate, what's this called? Sentence penalty, yeah, penalty.
Sanction. Yeah.
Action.
Sanction, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm not too sure whether you guys still want to use that point.
Yeah. Okay. It was a bad attempt at responding to them. But I got other stuff to say, so it's actually okay.
you can put a positive case as a
Like
respondent.
my I know, but
Yeah.
I that too, but I prepared, right? Because the question explicitly says that for A, you have to consider whether the small amount would warrant like proportionality to apply. I mean, it's smart to not say it because the answer is obviously no. But I prepared for like the team we go against to might actually say that. So I had a better response prepared for that if they were gonna bring it up. Yeah.
Or at the very least, right?
Okay.
You if you don't want to respond badly, you go to the procedure order. Say, this is what the procedure.
Oh yeah.
The
It's just
procedural
your
order explicitly asks us to address this, and so I will address this.
Okay, yeah, good.
Because to be fair,
Actually, you should just do that. Okay.
I mean, you could, and then you say that the respondents, appellants have not I've not answered this. And then you look at the
Yeah,
memo, and then the
okay.
memo, they say they do talk about it. Then it's like,
In their
what?
written submission. Yeah, okay, I get what you mean.
It could be like,
Yeah.
sometimes it's a risk to respond also. This one.
Oh, as in, like, it's just very difficult, is it, for the respondent to even find a good point for this one point?
No, there's a lot of good points actually, like deterrence, but just because they said I will invariably say it, I didn't want to say it anymore. And it's like you can't got scared. Like you can't preemptive strike if they don't strike.
Mm.
Yeah, I got so scared. Okay, yeah, sorry, I got shocked. Respondent, deterrence.
that's
Yeah,
unfair.
no, the other points also like
That's so unfair, because you will never be able to PS.
Oh.
They just like hear the PS and no, we don't want to say it.
No lah, but I don't think you have to worry about it lah. This is an
Yeah.
SME, right?
yeah, this is an estimate thing.
No, don't worry about it.
No, like if
Sure,
anything,
sure.
if it appears in their written subs, then it's just
You just
Wait,
say you can
what?
always make reference to the
Some-
Yeah,
actual
written
subs.
subs, yeah.
The-
Instead of what the respondent is actually going to say.
It's a rule of natural justice, but that you actually, is it? Actually, I don't know.
Mm, Okay. Yeah. Okay, that's all I have for Kieran. Because I think I didn't ask that many questions. Yeah.
Yeah, thank
thank you.
No, I'm kidding.
I don't know whether you should be thanking me for not asking questions, because I thought that was my role, but
The way that
yeah.
it normally works is that the judge don't really ask questions, and then when we end, they'll give us like 5 minutes and give us like 5 questions to answer.
Could be,
Could be.
not necessarily.
But
So
that
that's what you
could
guys
be.
did for the AR lah. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Actually,
that one-
yeah.
That was like
His choice. We didn't even tell him.
No, yeah,
Oh.
he didn't want to ask questions at the start also.
Mm.
So okay lah.
I guess it somehow went there anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I've addressed the rebuttal about the balance of probabilities thing, standard of proof. Yeah, I think it's the rebuttal. Yeah. So Alex caught on to my confusion, and I think that was good lah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you also raised like the cases to like for the vouchers. Yeah, I think that's okay.
Mm.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Is there anything else I can help with?
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Oh,
much.
Thanks
Thank
for
you.
always helping us.
Thank you.
What drink do you want
Yeah,
from
thanks for
Lucky?
asking me also. I'll update you about it. Probably some coffee, like oat
Okay,
milk
just come in
latte.
Tuesday. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
sure.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Thanks for
much.
Thanks,
Thank
JJ.
Yeah,
you.
all the best, guys.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Oh, you're gonna end the recording.
Yeah, imagine having Yue Chin as your off counsel.
Crazy,
Just
bro.
ask me everything, all the argument.
Yeah.